This Bumblebee figure has the worst design ever. This figure is supposed to be an oversized knockoff of the Hot Soldier's Big Yellow Bee, and if I'm being honest, that figure doesn't look too great either. Also, thank you to these people in the comments for letting me know what the original figure was. Now first, let's start off by taking a look at the head of the figure. If you compare the head sculpt to the original figure, you'll see that it looks nothing like it at all. This isn't the right head for the figure. The original figure is supposed to have a G1 looking head, while this one has a Bayverse movie looking head. And the head itself doesn't look too bad. It does have that G symbol there, similar to the Optimus Prime Superman figure, and with some expert analysis, I can safely say that these two figures are probably from the same company. But let's get back to taking a closer look at the head again. It's not a bad head sculpt minus a G, and I do like the silver paint on it. He has green eyes, and the mold of the face is actually pretty good for a Bayverse design. Here's a look at the back of the head. You got some extra molded detail. I could 3D print a proper G1 head for this figure, but honestly, the whole design of the figure is so bad, I don't think it's worth it. I don't know why they chose to go with this head sculpt over a more G1 head sculpt, maybe because this was just something they had lying around, but the mismatch of this head sculpt with the rest of the figure is so bad. The head sculpt is just way more mechanical, and it really just clashes with the rest of the figure. And if we go down here, we'll notice that the paint matching on this is absolutely excellent. That's a joke, by the way. And this part is actually die-cast metal, which I'm not sure why they would do that. I think it would look much better if this was just a plastic piece instead of die-cast metal. If they chose to just do it in the same plastic, then the colors would match. There really is no point in having this be die-cast. But if you do open it up, you can see some extra details on the inside there and over here. Overall though, the entire upper body area is just, it's really bad. It's very bulky and it just doesn't look aesthetically pleasing. The original figure was trying to mimic that G1 look, but that didn't really succeed in that. But then again, this isn't a review of that figure, so I can't really be critical of it. You do get some nice metallic blues for the windows around the figure, but this piece back here is a completely different color of blue. Down to the arms, pretty basic stuff here. Now these part of the arms are backwards, so there's the front part of that arm, and this part should be facing the other way around. So I'm not sure how they messed that up. Not too much going on with the hands, they look pretty basic. They do have a simple just G1 blocky design. If we move on down to the crotch piece, we can move this up. It's basically just a simple piece with some silver paint on it. The legs look very simple, and the feet are basically just the front of the car. And if we look inside, if we look inside the legs, there is a little bit of molded detail. And with the way the legs are designed with the wheels touching the ground, the figure can't really stand. So you kind of have to have his legs spread open a little bit. Underneath, not too much going on. Now for the back of this figure. I think this figure does something really good with the back that not even the Masterpiece figures can get right. Now the back of the Masterpiece Bumblebee figures don't look the best because of all the stuff they have going on back there. The way this figure negates that issue is actually pretty smart. The back is entirely hollow. This is one of the ugliest things I've seen.
Hey, you. You're finally awake.
Basically, the arms and the legs just fold into the back for the vehicle mode, which we'll get to later. In fact, this figure has a lot of hollow points on it. As you can see, the arms over here are hollow, and then the backwards piece is hollow. These bits right here are hollow as well, and there's not much else to say about the rest of the back of the figure. This figure is just really not that good. Here's another knockoff Bumblebee figure that I have, and if you do take a closer look at the heads, you can see they're very different in design. Neither of them are the greatest in my opinion, but they're not that bad. Now this figure does come with one accessory. It's this. I do believe this is essentially Starscream's Null Ray. I did try to look online to see exactly which version of Starscream's Null Ray this was, but I couldn't really figure it out, and I could be wrong about it too, as a fake Transformers fan would be. So if I am wrong, leave a comment down below. And for comparison, this Superman figure does come with a weapon that is Starscream's Null Ray. And here, if you want to take a closer look at that, the figure can easily hold the weapon, so at least it's doing something right. And you know, I haven't checked if these were 5mm compatible. Let me see. Okay, so here's Legacy Star Saber. And yes, it does seem like it is 5mm compatible. The figure's one saving grace. Now for the articulation on this figure, the head can move down like that. It's not on a ball joint or anything, so you just get a full 360 rotation. These arms here can move back and forward for the transformation, and the shoulder pieces are connected via ball joint, so you can bring them out and you can spin them all the way around. The elbows are also connected on a ball joint, so you can bring them back all the way and forward and spin them around. The hands are molded in place so they have no movement. There is no waist movement. You can bring it backwards. This flap can move out. The legs can move out to the side. The legs can move forward about that much, and they can move back quite a bit. There's a 90-degree knee bend, and there's a knee bend the other way, and the feet are able to move back and forth. Here it is next to the Superman Optimus, some other Bumblebee bootlegs, some official Bumblebee figures. Here it is next to a third-party sort of Bumblebee figure. If you're wondering how this is Bumblebee, make sure to go watch that review. Now, just like being an adult, this doesn't come with any instructions. However, unlike being an adult, it is very easy to figure out. First, we're going to open this, and then we can bring this out while bringing the head down. Then we can bring in these arm pieces, and then fold them in backwards like that, and then make sure just to get everything in place. And now this piece is supposed to line up with the arms. So let's go ahead and get that in there. It can be a little tricky to get it to fit in properly. And once you get it to line up, make sure this is in place properly. Now we can close this top piece. Now for this, let's bring the legs out so that way we can fold this in backwards. Same with this one, just fold it in backwards. Bring the legs down, but make sure the waist doesn't come down with it. Bring this flap up so that way we can bring the legs up and in like that. And make sure it just fits into place. Same over here, and then these two pieces are supposed to tab into each other. So go ahead and just bring it up and bring it into place and make sure everything just lines up properly. And this piece doesn't really stay flat all the way. There is a gap in between that I just can't seem to get rid of. And here is the vehicle mode on this figure, and the vehicle mode doesn't look as bad as the robot mode. You might have some problem with pieces tabbing into place all the way, but it doesn't really matter because this figure is garbage. On the original figure, these were yellow, but on this figure, the area isn't painted, so it's black instead. You do have a nice mold for the front of the car, and a little bit of details on the back. You can see this is where the backlights would be and the tailpipe. Back over to the front, you have some silver headlights and silver for the bumper. You can see some of the extra lights at the top side of the figure. You do have a door handle, some silver paint for the rims of the wheels. There is this really ugly hinge on the back, and with the way the figure is designed, it can't really roll very well because there's not enough space at the bottom where the robot pieces fold in. While the vehicle mode on this figure is pretty good, the robot mode is pretty trash. Now these are my opinions on this particular knockoff and not the Hot Soldiers figure, because I can't really critique something I don't own, except that Wheeljack figure. That looks horrendous. However, this particular figure that I do own is horrible and I do not recommend it. Check out my Optimus Prime Superman video if you want to see more bootlegs, or check out any of these other videos.